So obviously it's important to use our targeted keywords in our page title. I mentioned that it comes up in bold with men's clothing if we do a search for men's clothing. That's why it's important to have it in our title tag. What is the title tag? Well, it's just in the head of our HTML document. It's that little title tag. You can see an example here from Market Motive and how that shows up in the search results. So the meta description is the same. You can see that shows up as a description in the search results, and it also bolds those keywords that our user searches for, thus making it important to have those keywords in there. Each page should have a different title tag. This is one of the things that people go wrong with a lot of times. You can find if your site has similar or duplicate title tags by using just the cite command on Google. You do cite : your site and then search for one of those title tags. In this case I did Miami flights, and you can see that there's several pages at least that have Miami flights, not necessarily on the title tags but at least in the meta description that's being pulled. We can also use something like Screaming Frog, which is a simulation spider to spider your website and find those duplicate title tags. So make sure that each of your title tags is unique and that you're checking for those duplicate titles. The idea of keyword proximity in the title tag is just to use your keyword at the front of your title instead of at the rear of your title. So the best practice most times is to do the targeted keywords first. You can see that's how Overstock does it. You can see that's how J.Crew does it, and the brand name at the end. So we'll look at some instances where a company has chose branded at the beginning versus branded at the end. This can obviously be a debate. You can see Amazon actually does front branding. Best practice is generally front branded for recognizable brands like Amazon.com, but you'll see Macy's doesn't do this necessarily. I think it's best to have that rear branded domain where the domain is at the end. People know what they're clicking on, but they're still seeing that bolded keyword that they searched for first. And if you have a non-branded domain, it's not even that important to have your name in the title tag. You know, if you're an exact match domain or if you're something that only exists online, there's no brick and mortar, having your company name in that title tag is a little bit less important. For many years, the best practices for title tag length was around 70 characters. Less than 70 characters and that length of that title tag in the search results would not be truncated. Google changed their search results with a little bit bigger font, and now the best practice for title length, where it will be truncated, is between 50 and 55 characters. A little bit shorter. You can still use longer title tags to embrace and incorporate your branded terms, so you may still have 60, 70, 80 character titles, but you want all of those important keywords at least in the first 50 to 55 characters. You can test your title tags at the Moz.com testing tool that abides by these guidelines. You can see that Geico has a little bit longer title tags, and their brand name may get truncated, but you can see that in the URL and you can see all of their important keywords. Auto insurance by Progressive is just a very nice short title tag that fits within that character length. So in terms of title tag character length, the best practice has kind of been established as now 50 to maybe 70 or 80 characters, but with the understanding that anything after about 55 characters is going to be truncated, and that most of that longer title isn't going to be included in the search results. You'll also want to make sure each page should be competing for only one keyword or keyword phrase, maybe up to 2 or 3 as a best practice, but for the most part you should target one page with one phrase, or one category with one phrase, or one subcategory with one phrase. And you can check again for duplicate title tags for duplicating those keywords with the cite command in Google and using your keywords. And you can see all the places where Macy's uses men's clothing. You can also use an in-title modifier with Google to see if you have duplicate title tags and to search just the titles. But if you do have multiple pages that are trying to rank for a single keyword, you're kind of spreading that architecture. You want to make sure it's the page that's highest in your site architecture, because that's the one that's going to hold the most value. And if we look at that architecture, if we look at that file cabinet structure, we want it to be closer to the top category or subcategory, and then of course linked off the home page, because that page is going to hold more value. And you don't want to be trying to rank 10 different pages for the same keyword phrase, especially if you have a large site. It's what I'd call keyword cannibalization when you have multiple pages with the same keywords in the title. So try to target one keyword phrase, two, maybe three keyword phrases per page per title. A best practice with your title tags is to use your breadcrumbs, which we'll talk about in one of the upcoming sections, as a reverse of your breadcrumbs, which you can see there at the bottom of the page is home, fishing charters, US, California, San Francisco. The reverse of that would be our title tag. Our breadcrumb and our URL would be the same, but our title tag would be fishing charters in San Francisco or San Francisco fishing charters, California, US. Makes for a good title tag most times. So let's move on to the meta description. What is it? It's a supplement to the title tag that describes what the page is about. It gives the description of the page, and again, those query keywords will appear in bold. You can see the meta description for market motive, learn digital marketing through online, blah, 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 blah. And this is what shows up in the search results here as well. There's about 155 characters. You can use that tool I mentioned earlier. You want to make sure to include your keywords here. It can be very helpful for internal search. Meta keywords is another area that can be helpful for internal search within your website, but doesn't really help for search engine optimization. The meta keywords tag really isn't all that useful anymore for other than internal search. Your meta description should be tailored to the content of the page and include the call to action. You can test the click-through rate with your PPC ads so that you're not changing your meta description all the time, and whatever gets the best click-through rates on your PPC ads that's similar in terms of content is probably a good idea to use in the landing pages in your organic search.